Hello and welcome to another tutorial video for InPlay Online, and in this video I'm going to show you exactly how you can tag your match videos or code your games. So as you can see, I've selected which video I want to tag, so I've done this by heading over to the analysis section and choosing the fixture there, and this is the one that I'm going to start working on. So you can see here on the right hand side I have a couple of timelines already. But again, this video is how to start tagging from scratch. So we're going to hit this button here, start tagging. We're going to click that, and then basically now we are asked to name our timeline. So if you just give this a name, which we'll keep this linked to the tutorial video, so we can call that whatever we want. So it could be defensive clips, it could be match clips, anything that is relevant to your analysis that you're going to do. So once we've named the timeline, we hit create. And as you can see now, we are given a blank timeline. So we have the video that we've chosen. We have our tagging panel. Now the first time you do this, you will have to add buttons and create a panel. So there is a separate tutorial video on exactly that. But as you can see here, I actually already have my tagging panel sorted. So if you're here for the first time, I'd probably advise you to go back and check out the video on creating a tagging panel and adding tagging buttons. But for now, we're going to go straight into the tagging process. So as you can see here, if I press play on the video, and I will just mute that a second and we'll just kind of skip through a little bit to get in here. Now, if you've watched the other previous video on the tagging panel, you'll know that each of these buttons has been created by you. You will have set these up, and each one will have a predetermined lead and lag time. So all that means is the time before the button is pressed and the time after. So you can think about that as almost the build-up play and then the aftermath. So each one of them will differ depending on what you're actually looking to code. So all you're going to do now is, if you're watching the game back, we're just going to hit the relevant buttons that we see for whatever we want to clip out or code. So let's say we see a tackle, we just press the tackle button there, and you can see straight away it's jumped in here. If I just move this cursor out of the way, you can see there we have that clip in. So what I'll do is I'll quickly hit a few more buttons and show you how simple this really is. So if we see the team switch play, we can click on that button, and again you can see it's gone straight in there below. Let's just add in a pass, let's say, and I'll just move later in the game. Maybe add some good play. And all I'm doing here is tapping the buttons in my panel. So one other thing that you can do is to actually use hotkeys. So you can see this button here has been set up with a hotkey. So this little N just here. So more about hotkeys is explained in actually creating buttons. So again, I advise you to check that video out as well. But in this one here, you can see this N will act as a shortcut for this particular button. So not only can I add a regain clip by pressing this, which I'll do now. So you can see that's gone in there. But then if I want to add another regain clip, I can actually just hit the N key on my keyboard. So if I do that just now, you can see there, I just did that and it's added straight away without me having to physically click this. So if you're one of them analysts or coaches that prefer to use your keyboard, you can do that, and that would be, probably easier for you to just press your keyboard keys rather than clicking on these particular buttons. So one thing to note here is that you are able to add labels, so the label buttons. So there's another video on all about labels, but if I just show you how to actually tag with labels right now. So let's say we are watching the game and we tag a goal. So if I click this goal button, you can see that's jumped straight into the timeline below. But let's say the goal is a home goal. So if I click home, now the first thing you'll notice when I press that, there's no row down here because this is one of the buttons with the rounded edges. This is a label button, so it behaves a little bit different than a standard tag button. So what this has done is, when I press a label button, that label attaches itself to the last tag that I created. So the last tag in this case was this particular goal clip. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause this and just zoom in to this. So if I just use this to zoom in, you can see now that particular label, the home button that was pressed, the home label button, has added itself into there. So you can have as many labels as you want. So in this case, we've just obviously got home, away, or even unsuccessful or successful, but you might have labels as player names or as outcomes, whatever you want to do. So you could hit a tag button and then hit 3 labels, and those 3 labels will jump and attach themselves to the last tag that you created. So these labels are also viewable on the matrix as well, which you can see here. But again, there's another video on the matrix in more detail. So that's how you would tag using your conventional method, so the tagging panel. So you have The tag buttons with the rectangular shapes, and then the ones with the rounded edges are the labels. Now there are other ways to tag as well. So if I just zoom into the timeline just to show you a bit more. Now what you can do is you can hold down the Option key and then just click and drag to create a clip wherever you want. So in whichever row you want to add a clip in, you can just hold the Option key. So I'm going to add one next to this goal. So I can add it here. So if I hold Option, click and drag, I can just do that straight away. So it's really easy to add clips. And then obviously as I'm doing it that method, I get to choose exactly where I want the clip to start. So if this is the exact point, I can just hold Option down, go there, and then just kind of drag to ascertain the clip's start and end time. So that is another method to add. And then a separate method in terms of another way of adding clips to a timeline, you have these two buttons here. So the record option and the event option. Now, there is a separate video on this. I'm not going to go into these right now, but if you want to check these ones out, there is a separate tutorial video on exactly these two things. But the conventional way of tagging with a tagging panel, that's how simple it is. So you can see you can do that on any device as well. So you can do that on your tablet or your phone to be able to start analyzing your fixtures and start breaking the game down. And then hopefully over time, you will be creating a timeline which is obviously highly populated and all of the clips are done and your game is fully analyzed. So this has been how to tag a match. So be sure to check out the other tutorial videos that I've mentioned. They're all in the same playlist. If you do have any questions, please email support@in-playonline.com. So thanks for watching and enjoy using InPlay Online.